I had an interesting conversation with my friend and correspondent on the internet, Charles Tashira, the other day. And we were talking about how films, as time has gone by, have become more and more simple in every conceivable way, whether it's regards to story or character or plot development or humour. But yet, on the flip side of that argument, films have got more and more sexually explicit. And why is it that films have to be simplified in such a way that they can be as sexually explicit as anyone thinks? Now, I'm no prude, and don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against pornography. And this isn't a debate about whether pornography is right or wrong. This is just a debate about whether or not everything has its set place in the universe, which I'm not going to say yes or no, it does or it doesn't, but we need to ask ourselves, is pornography still pornography? And is film film? And do the two mix? Can they mix? Or am I simply wasting my time talking about it? 20 years ago you would have never seen a film like American Pie or any of those teen comedies that you get coming out today that are really just a thin story thread used to embellish their fart and sex jokes. And films like Irreversible or 9 Songs, the Winterbottom film, they would never have had a place. They would have just been simply labelled as pornography. Now, when does pornography become art? And when does art become pornography? That is the sort of thin line that we're treading today in film, and especially in art house film. And I feel that a lot of the time, people aren't making a film because they believe it's a story that's meant to be told. They make the film because A, they have a gimmick, and B, it's a gimmick that supposedly has never been done before. And finally C, gimmicks are what now has begun to sell art house films. People going into cinemas to see these films aren't going to see the film because wow, that film has got a great story, or wow, the direction is absolutely amazing. There probably are people who go into these films like that, but the marketing gimmick that's used to sell these films and to get people to hear about them is the most sexually explicit film of 2006, the most pornographic, sexually explicit mainstream film ever released in British cinemas. And you have to ask yourself, why? What's the point? Are we going to see films now because of their shock value, their sexual explicitness? And why can't we just go and see a film because it's got a good story anymore? Why? Well, there are still films that have great stories, and of course there are, but everything has got a place. And the flip side of the argument is that if pornography and pornographic material is becoming more and more mainstream and more commonplace, standard sort of sexual behavior and even slightly deviant behavior on film in mainstream cinema, that leaves the pornographic industry no option but to move into a darker place, to become more and more depraved, just to sort of keep the label of pornography. Is that fair to the people involved in the industry? Is it okay that we are now becoming so conditioned to pornographic material that we need to turn to darker, more depraved, sick stuff to get sexual gratification out of what pornography is now becoming? It's just a question, does pornography now have its place, set in stone in mainstream cinema? Is it socially acceptable? Are these the kind of films that you want your kids to be seeing in 10 years? Who knows? But I think it's an interesting topic worth debating, and I'd love to hear your video responses or audio responses or comments about the topic. So yeah, have a great day guys. Chat to you soon. Bye bye.